Emily, what color are my eyes?
Oh my gosh.
For those of you listening and not watching, I covered my eyes so Emily can't see. I'm also closing my eyes, like that's going to make an incredible difference.
You could just close your eyes and take your hands from between your mouth and the mic.
I guess the hands up is more.
It was a visual gag for the viewers, which is why you should be watching on YouTube, you guys. Absolutely, you're missing out.
Absolutely.
I think your eyes are brown.
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
Do you find it hard to remember people's eye colors?
Yeah, for sure. I know yours because I look at your face every minute of every day.
You're always gazing into my eyes.
What color are my eyes, Kyle?
Your eyes, Emily? Pitch black.
Yes, but when I'm in my human form.
We've talked about this. Emily has hazel eyes, greenish, bluish eyes, right? Purple.
Kyle's like, if I name every color, then...
Sometimes they're maroon, chartreuse, possibly.
Welcome to Butter No Parsnips. Every week on Butter No Parsnips, your hosts Kyle Imperator and Emily Moyers take you on an adventure through the weird, wacky, wonderful, and sometimes even wicked world of one wayside word. Strange characters, delightful bits, and general joyousness abound. Join them as they test each other's etymological expertise.
Hey everybody, welcome to Butter No Parsnips. I'm Emily Moyers and I have green eyes with gold flecks in them.
With gold flecks! I forgot about the gold flecks. You're such a rich eye color. And I'm Kyle Imperator, and speaking of rich, Emily, gosh, I hope you have a solid stomach today.
Oh, I hate that warning. I mean, I'm geared up. I'm ready for whatever. And I'm ready for a word.
Emily, your word today is retiform. Retiform. Retiform.
Retiform.
Retiform.
Okay. So, I'm going to use what I know. I know that the iform is going to mean shaped like something. Like napiform is shaped like a turnip. And cruciform is shaped like a cross. So it's got to be something in that vein. It's got to be an adjective, yeah?
It is an adjective, yeah.
Okay. It's got to be Latin?
It is Latin, yeah. You got it. You're 2 for 2. Now you just got to get the word right.
I've got Kyle's whole outline in front of me.
She does. And a picture of a yam. That's an inside joke for us.
Good. Always good to put jokes that the audience won't get.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take an educated guess, and then if it's wrong, I'm going to ask for a hint. Yep. Does retiform mean eye-shaped?
It does not mean eye-shaped, Emily, but there's a ballpark and you're next to it.
Okay.
Not in it, but you're on the highway to the ballpark.
All right, let's see if this hint can get me in the car to the right exit of the highway.
Emily, your hint is fishing.
Fishing?
Fishing.
Boy, I mean, it would be too easy to say fish-shaped. And that doesn't really even... I see there's so many fish shapes.
There's so many fish shapes. I can name at least 2. Goldfish.
Starfish?
I can name 1. Yeah, starfish! Thank you.
Okay. Fishing? Yikes. Okay. Is retiform...
It's not a great hint now that I think about it, but it's what you got, so...
Okay. Is it worm-shaped?
No! There actually is a word for that, though, which we're not covering today.
Oh.
Yeah, it's vermiform is worm-shaped.
Like vermicelli.
Like vermicelli, yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's good. What does retiform mean, Kyle?
Retiform, Emily, means having the appearance of a net or network, or composed of crossing lines, net-like.
Interesting.
So fishing net was the
Yeah, no, I got it. That was a decent hint.
Yeah. Okay.
I just didn't get there. Very cool, Kyle. Tell me more.
So retiform is a word developed in New Latin as retiformis, meaning having the form of a net, of course. As you so eloquently put just a second ago, the Latin suffix formis means having the form of, and comes from the Latin noun forma, meaning form, figure, shape, or appearance. It's a fun suffix.
I was thinking it feels very central to our podcast because when you and I, before we were making this podcast, when you and I were just talking about words for the fun of it, one of the early words that we came across that really caught our fascination was the word napiform. It was like the word of the day on some dictionary website.
Yeah.
And we went on a deep dive about napiform just for ourselves.
Yes. Yeah. Remind the audience what napiform means, Emma?
It means turnip-shaped. Almost parsnip-shaped, but not quite.
Almost.
But it was the start of our tuber obsession.
Yeah. All the neeps are related.
Yes.
But yeah, so the form ending is really great because it can be combined with really practically any Latin noun to mean shaped like that noun.
Chyliform.
Chyliform, exactly. Emilyform. Sethiform.
Sethiform.
That's also a DMV form that you have to fill out.
Yes, you do have to fill out your Sethiform, and you better have it filled out before you show up, or they will send you back.
It is a problem.
Yeah.
We don't know where forma comes from, Emily, but one theory suggests it's related to the ancient Greek noun morphe, meaning shape or form, which has been anglicized into the English suffix morph, meaning shaped like. But that's usually used with nouns, like anamorph or xenomorph.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, it's usually used with nouns instead of adjectives, but they're both kind of similar.
And I would assume connected with the verb to morph.
It is related, but in a roundabout way. It's actually a clipping of metamorphosis through French. Yeah,
that makes sense.
But the crazy part of retiform is the reti part, right?
Yeah.
So the prefix comes from the classical Latin noun rete, meaning net, snare, or network. And this word has an unclear origin. It's possibly a borrowing from Semitic, or it could be related to earlier words meaning to row, like rowing an oar, like in the motion that you do when you're rowing, or to bind, relating to the method by which nets are twisted together. This mirrors the etymology of our English net, which comes from a Proto-Indo-European root, ned, meaning to turn, twist, or knot.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, we don't know if it's related to the word knot and its related words because it's just really unclear how all the Proto-Indo-European roots work with these words. But
once you get far enough back, somehow. It's really just guesswork. But like net and knot are very close, and then net and ret, the retiform, they're very close.
Yeah, it's just like one letter off, man.
Yeah.
Emily, can you think of some things you might describe as retiform?
Ooh, I mean, my first thought was just like I just had this vision of just like a skein of threads just in the void of space.
I mean, yes, sure. I guess if you're talking about like, I don't know, string theory, then yeah, there's some
or like the threads
there.
Of fate.
Wow, Emily, is there anything less abstract you can think of that's retiform?
That's a fair question. Like a chain link fence comes to mind.
Yeah. That's retiform, absolutely. That's a really good one, yeah.
I remember spending a lot of time as a child staring at, the chain link fences that also had that like bit of plastic weaved into it in between each one. I remember spending a lot of time staring at those and like unfolding the weave in my mind's eye and like really
I was going to joke about you doing that, but the fact that it was real, you were like Matilda, huh?
It really fascinated me.
Yeah. So, Emily, while retiform seems like a pretty versatile word, the history of retiform takes us down a really strange path through anatomy.
Oh. Like a skein of guts?
Kind of. We'll get there later. But you see, Emily, the earliest English usages of the word retiform are for describing eyes.
Eyes?
Eyes.
How does that link up?
You just get ready for this, Emily. So in a 1636 letter to scientist Walter Warner, aristocrat Sir Charles Cavendish notes Warner's position of sight being made upon the retiform tunicle, which we now simply call the retina.
See, that was why I guessed eye-shaped, because I was
Of
thinking
course.
retina.
Yeah, well, there's the connection, Emily.
I couldn't, get to the word retina, but I was like, the prefix ret is jumping to eyes in my brain. I can't get to the word in between that is the reason why I'm thinking eyes.
It's just a word that you don't use ever, unless something is severely wrong.
But what was the original phrase you said? The retiform
Tunicle.
tunicle?
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. But go ahead. You're
that's
going to
a
make
choir.
Yes, the retiform tunicle.
The Mormon tunicle choir.
Yeah, exactly. Emily, can you describe the retina? Do you remember what the retina is or does?
What part is the retina?
Well,
is that where the rods and cones are?
Yeah,
is that
you
the
got
part that flips upside down?
That's exactly it, Emily. It's a thin layer of cells at the back of the eyeball with rods and cones that receive light upside down and transmit it the correct way to the brain to create an image. Originally, when people first started studying the eye, they thought the retina was a whole membrane that went around the entire eye. And so retina is a shortening of the Latin term tunica retina, literally net-like tunic, like a covering for the eye.
Oh, okay.
But it's an odd term because, as medical scholar Paulus TVM de Jong relates in a 2014 article, he has never observed macroscopically a net-like structure in the retina. It's not net-like.
Yeah, that's a weird word to pick.
It's a weird word to pick. We're going to talk about why, Emily.
Oh.
In fact, most of the animal retinas studied by the ancient Greeks had a vessel pattern radiating from the optic disc and thus seemed more star-shaped.
Starfish.
So why net-like then, right, Emily?
Yeah. Tell me, Kyle.
We can thank the historical telephone game for this, Emily. Tunica retina is perhaps a translation of the Arabic tabaka shabakia, meaning net-like layer, itself a translation of the ancient Greek, get ready for this, ampiblestroides kiton. I can't believe I got that on the first go. It literally meant...
Audience, he made 16 attempts before he got that.
Don't lie to them. It literally means net-like tunic, and it was the term that was used for nearly a millennium, thanks to the popularity of the Roman physician Galen, whom we've talked about before, who preferred using this term for retina.
The Greek or the Latin?
The Greek.
Okay.
Galen got this term from the Greek physician Herophilos, who compared the retina to the ancient Greek ampiblestron or amphiblestron, which was their term for a cast net. So a net that has been cast into the ocean and then pulled up with fish in it, indicating the interweaving of the retinal vessels and to express the form of the retina, which they thought of as going around the whole eye as a hoisted fishing net.
Wow. Like it hoisted the eye.
Yeah, it was just hoisting up the eye all the way around.
Visceral.
Yeah. But prior to Herophilos, Emily, the retina had been described as arachnoides, or cobweb-like, possibly due to its thin, delicate qualities, which really would have changed how much we talked about eyes if that had stuck, right?
If we had to talk about them in terms of spiders.
In terms of spiders, yeah.
Now I'm imagining a spider on my eyeball.
like little face suckers for your eyes.
Ah!
Instead, Emily, the arachnoid, more formally arachnoid mater, ended up becoming the term for one of the membranes surrounding the brain and spinal cord, notable for its spider web-like connective tissue called arachnoid trabeculae.
Oh, wow. And he was
Yeah.
the host of Jeopardy?
He was the host of Jeopardy for spiders.
For Jeopardy for spiders, right?
Yeah. Trabeculae.
Same exact premise.
Still had the mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When the spider computer came on and beat the champion, it was crazy.
It was insane.
Stunning.
Yeah, there's got to be a Ken Jennings spider pun there. Don't you worry, though, because there are plenty of other connective tissues considered to be retiform. We're going to go through some of them.
Good.
Yeah.
I like to end my day talking about connective tissues.
I know this has been on your mind for a while.
Yeah,
Weighing heavy.
absolutely.
So, for example, retiform tissue is another term for adenoid tissue, which is the mass of lymphatic tissue located behind the nasal cavity. I was told to have mine removed, but I just couldn't stand to part with it. It had a real emotional connection to mine, you know? William Senhouse Kirks's 1848 text, Handbook of Physiology, describes the lymphatic glands as corpuscles arranged in such a way that while in the center of the alveoli and of each mesh, they are so crowded together as to be, with the retiform tissue pervading them, a consistent gland pulp.
Gland pulp.
Gland pulp.
Yeah, but I prefer to buy pulp-free glands.
Yeah. Everybody's got their own tastes, you know? I like mine crunchy.
Well, now I'm thinking about crunchy orange juice, and that's also bad.
Speaking of pulp, Emily,
Oh no.
plants have been described as having retiform tissue, as lexicographer and maker of scientific instruments for some reason, Benjamin Martin described in his Micrographia Nova, saying, "For upon a microscopic view of the bark of trees, we find it to consist of lignous fibers implicated in a retiform manner, the interstices of which are filled with utriculi, or little bags or bladders turgid with juice."
This is the worst episode.
I know, that's why I told you. Hope you didn't eat any corn dogs before this episode, Emily. Oh, it gets worse. Emily,
Oh, good.
also, the loose tissue of the human omenta, that is, the greater omentum and the lesser omentum, are folds of retiform tissue that hold our organs in place.
I mean, that sounds like a good thing, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if we didn't have it, they'd just be jiggling around in there.
Like, I'm picturing, like, you know, one of those, like, nets you can get for the trunk of your car to, like,
Yes.
hold stuff in place.
Like, there's still movement, you know?
Yeah, but there's just this, like, taut nets
Yeah.
that are
Yeah.
keeping stuff.
That's like a seat belt for your organs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Emily, the greater omentum has also been called the epiploon from ancient Greek, and that's spelt, just so you know, it's spelled Epiploon, like balloon. Epiploon.
Piploon.
It comes from the ancient Greek epipleo, meaning to sail on or over, as it appears to float on the surface of the intestines.
Delightful.
Delightful. The omenta have also been called reticula or reticulums, from a sense of the Latin reticulum, meaning small mesh bag. It's also why you may have heard a lady's small handbag
A
being
reticule.
called a reticle or a reticule. Yeah, good, Em.
Yeah. That's like
Yeah.
what they have in, like, Bridgerton and other, like, Regency things.
Yeah. So next time you see one of those, you can think of your organs being held into place. Yeah.
I wish I didn't have to.
Now you have to. You're mandated to.
It's too late.
I mean, I think of that. I thought of that before I knew all of this. So,
Yeah, but that was for other reasons that we don't talk about.
yeah, Bridgerton was rough for me to get through. Don't even get me started on Downton Abbey.
Different era, Kyle.
Yeah, are they though? Everything before 1990 is like, well, I don't know, Neolithic age.
So late.
That's when I was born. Emily, the most famous reticulum adorning every middle school textbook is, of course, the endoplasmic reticulum, a cell organelle composed of a network of membrane-enclosed tubules and sacs responsible for transportation. The Pete Buttigieg of the cell, if you will.
I'm glad you had to really get a running start into that joke.
Yeah.
Get ready for how funny this is going to be. Hold on to your socks.
You just wait. Reticulum, Emily, can also be used to describe just any sort of biological network, or more generally, a pattern of interconnected objects is a reticulum.
Oh, like a web, kind of?
Yeah, I mean, it's all kind of connected to that. I would say, like, if you saw, like, those mystery boards with the thumbtacks and all the string in it, you could call that a reticulum, you know?
A reticulum.
Emily, the word reedy, R-E-T-E, reedy, is also used to describe these biological networks, as is the case with the reti mirabile, literally wonderful net, which is a complex network of arteries and veins found in some vertebrates, which helps to keep temperature or concentrations of gases or solutes at a sort of equilibrium.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Here's some animal facts, Emily. Birds with webbed feet have retia mirabilia in their legs to reduce heat loss. And seabirds have them in their faces in things called salt glands, which help them distill seawater, because that's all they drink, right?
Oh.
And then they sneeze out the brine afterwards.
Crazy.
Yeah. For some reason, Wikipedia talks about, like, you might see penguins with snot dripping down their noses. It's not snot. They're not sick. It's just the brine. Yeah.
Crazy. And I hate calling it a brine, because now I'm imagining, like, pickle snot.
I mean, that's a you problem, Emily.
You telling me you can hear the word brine and not think pickles?
I mean, I definitely do. I'm just not thinking of pickle snot. I choose
but
not
I was
to.
thinking about pickle snot before we even talked about any of this.
Yeah, of course. Emily, he's back. Galen may again be to thank for the naming of the reti mirabile, or also called the Retiform plexus. I don't know which one he came up with. Although he also mistakenly believed humans to have a reti mirabile in our necks, because he confused a human anatomy with a sheep's mid-dissection. I don't know. I don't understand how he did it.
He had the human on one table and the sheep on the other. And he took all their glands out and then dropped them all on the floor. And he tried to sort out which was which.
It's a real chocolate and your peanut butter situation.
You got your sheep in my human. You got your human in my sheep.
Other mammals with retia mirabilia are often diving, burrowing, or climbing animals, because they needed to, help them with temperature regulation in like working so hard in those different limbs.
Sure.
For example, sloths have retiform plexuses in their arms to cool the blood and reduce the need for oxygen in their limbs to help them hang for longer periods.
Well, now I wish we did have one of those so that I could hang upside down infinitely.
Yeah. I have just honestly one in every part of my body so I could do things longer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Emily, there are like a million other words synonymous with retiform, the most common of which, reticulate, reticulated, and reticular. Reticular is a fun word because it can also be used in a poetic sense to mean resembling a net in effect or operation, especially by tending to enclose, encompass, or capture. And the example I have is Lord Byron's epic poem Don Juan, which satirizes the folkloric womanizer as a victim easily seduced by women. And here's the quote I have. It's great. I don't mean this as general, but particular. Examples may be found of such pursuits, though several also keep their perpendicular, like poplars, with good principles for roots. Yet many have a method more reticular, fishers for men, like sirens with soft lutes.
Really good rhyme scheme happening there.
It's really good. It's really good. And he's just talking about single ladies trying to hit on unmarried men.
Love it.
Yeah. There's also the word reticuloid, which Wiktionary defines as resembling or suggestive of, but not, a reticulum. That is, not reticulate or reticular, but seeming so. So have fun parsing that definition out.
It walks like a duck and quacks like a duck,
Yeah.
but it isn't.
Yeah. It isn't in the shape of it, but it's not even, it looks like a net. It's not, they're saying it seems to look like a net, but it doesn't look like a net.
Like you're looking at it from far away, but then you walk sideways and your perspective changes.
Yeah.
It's like, it wasn't a net. It was a bunch of separate objects lined up.
Yeah. Turns out it was just an art installation. And
yeah, and then when you walk all the way around, it becomes the shape of like the American flag, and you're like, whoa.
Wow, now I get
Crazy.
it. But the most ridiculous of the synonyms that I found are the words retial, spelled like retile, retial, and retitious. The latter being poignantly used in Virginian author Angelina Maria Collins's 1853 temperance novel, Mrs. Ben Darby. It's fun because it was a temperance novel that featured an alcoholic woman. Very, very few of them featured alcoholic women. But the quote from it is, "Reeds of mist gathered about the horizon and covered the sun as if with a retitious veil."
I mean, delightful.
Like the knitted veils that women wore in mourning.
Yeah, like with off the hat. Yeah.
Collins's cookbook, Mrs. Collins's Table Receipts Adapted to Western Housewifery, includes a recipe for California soup in homage to those traveling west for the gold rush. And Emily, you may say, what the F does that have to do with what we're talking about?
I'm scared.
Well, it's because I only mention it as a segue into this quote from an 1837 edition of the American Journal of Science and Arts, describing the gold veins of Virginia as a veinous network of retiform deposits, striking on different courses and dipping at various angles and in different directions, and crossing each other at several points. So that's another thing that can be retiform.
That's fun.
Lastly, Emily, to round out my examples, a 1977 equipment review of Acoustic Research's AR-17 loudspeaker, the peak quality of loudspeaker in 1977.
Heck yeah.
In Gramophone magazine, describes the speaker's mesh as retiform, and then in parentheses, high porosity, grill material fixed by continuous Velcro strips running round the edge and across the baffle, which also happens to describe my daily workout routine.
Wow. And that's like describing what a speaker looks like, is made of.
And you remember how old speakers used to have a foam mesh in the front of them?
Yeah.
That's what it's describing.
Yeah.
A retiform grill material. Regardless, Emily, now that you have an entire network of examples, a veritable LinkedIn of reticula, would you mind using retiform in a sentence?
Yeah, you'd think I would be able to by this point, huh?
It's a hard one.
Okay. I am often very intimidated when I go into Manhattan because I worry that I'm going to get lost. But I often find I can easily find my way around on the numbered retiform streets.
Wow, Emily? Yeah, that's perfect. Emily, you are, wow, you win butter no parsnips.
I didn't know we could win. Nice.
Yeah. You win a parsnip is the unfortunate
that
thing.
makes
Oh,
sense.
you didn't seem so happy.
It's pretty lackluster, but it's like those old timey game shows when they announce the prize and it's like $64.
Yeah.
Like, sure. Thanks.
Well, Emily, are you interested in maybe winning some bonus prizes in a game?
I'm so interested, Kyle.
Fantastic. Emily, your game today is called Reti or Not. Emily, the Reti network was so large that I had no choice but to pay the rest of the info in exposure. So I've got 3 questions for you. You're going to have to choose the information that doesn't fit. Are you ready?
I hope so.
Okay. Emily, which of these is not a Reti? 1, a rotating metal cutaway on an astrolabe, which represents the horizon. 2, a computer or other device attached to a network. Or 3, the fat body of an insect.
Am I allowed to ask for a reminder on what a Reti is?
Yes, Reti was the omentum, the fold that attached
that separates your guts.
the organs, and Reti mirabili were the like networks of arteries.
Okay. Which of those is not?
Mm-hmm.
I guess the astrolabe bit? That seemed like the odd one out there.
It's a good guess. It's incorrect, Emily.
Oh.
The odd one out was a computer or other device attached to a network. That is a node.
Oh, the computer is not. Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's the point.
And that's the point, yeah.
Yeah.
The cutaway on the astrolabe, that is sometimes called the star net, which is probably why it's also called a Reti, and it's used to locate the positions of the principal fixed stars and other astronomical features. The fat body of an insect, I think it's coming from the sense of describing the fatty tissue of the insect.
Yeah.
That term for the insect can be fat mass, can be the term used, or epiploon.
Epiploon.
All right, Emily, next question is, which of these is not a definition of the adjective reticulated? 1, in porcelain or china, ornamented with a pattern of interlacing lines. 2, in brickwork, using square stones set diagonally. Or 3, in leatherwork, stitched with a grid pattern.
I'm going to say the odd one out was the stones because the other 2 are like focused on the lines.
Emily, you're 0 for 2. I know. I'm sorry. I stitched with a grid pattern in leatherwork. I just made that up. There's no word for that. I don't even know if they do it, honestly.
That was a good gotcha.
Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
Reticulated porcelain is insane. Look it up at some point, because to make a net in porcelain, they literally have to individually cut out each hole. And it's like, how do you do that without breaking the thing?
Sure.
You know? So it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. And reticulated brickwork, it literally is bricks that are square shaped, that are set on a diagonal, so it looks like a big diamond wall, and it's like a lozenge pattern. The ancient Romans used them. They called them opus reticulatum. They called them opus reticulatum, and it was used in the Roman Republic during the reign of Augustus, whose mausoleum actually uses that kind of brickwork.
Oh, there you go.
All right, Emily, your last question.
All right, this is my last
See
chance.
if you can get it. Yeah. Which of these animals does not come in a species with a reticulated fur or skin pattern? Is it 1, the cheetah, 2, the python, or 3, the giraffe?
I can just tell you right now, I'm going to get this one wrong.
You got a 30% chance of getting it right.
If I get it right, it will be by accident. Okay. I'll say the cheetah is not reticulated or whatever.
Emily, you got it right!
Oh, what a relief.
Nice! Yes, cheetahs do not. There are no reticulated cheetahs. We got to make one, so someone get on that, biologists.
Yeah.
The reticulated python is the world's longest snake,
Oh.
named for its network-like pattern, which also makes it popular in the commercial skin trade.
Oh, sure.
The reticulated giraffe is similarly the largest subspecies of giraffe,
Oh.
differentiated from other species by its coat of large, blocky spots.
Wow. Instead of like a very irregular ones.
Yeah, I looked up like the patterns of giraffes the other day, and you'd have to like really study them to tell the difference, but there's a slight difference.
Sure.
But cheetahs and giraffes do have something in common, Emily, that they both have retia mirabilia. Cheetahs have them to cool their blood so their brains don't fry when they're running.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And giraffes have them to regulate their blood pressure and prevent excess blood flow to the brain when the giraffe lowers its long, long head to drink.
Wow. I like that.
Emily, you got
Animals
one for
are
3.
crazy.
Honestly, with the curve for this episode, that's practically 100%. So, congrats.
Perfect. Great episode, Kyle. I mean,
Thank you,
a
Emily.
lot of gross gut stuff, but also fun animal stuff and fun word stuff.
This is my, Science Channel pitch. Get me on. I can do science.
Yes, he can. And you can watch us on YouTube at Butter No Parsnips. You can find Butter No Parsnips on other social media too, on Facebook and Instagram at Butter No Parsnips Podcast, and on TikTok at Butter No Parsnips. And if you like today's episode, you can consider giving us a 5-star rating or review wherever you heard us.
And if you really like today's episode, consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/butternoparsnips. Donating $5 or more gets you an exclusive access to Buttered Parsnips, our After Hours podcast.
Thanks so much to all of you. You help us make what we make.
And with that, I've been Kyle Imperator.
And I've been Emily Moyers, and this has been Butter No Parsnips.
Butter No Parsnips is produced by Seth Glicksman, Emily Moyers, and myself, Kyle Imperator. The main and accompanying themes were composed by Kyle Imperator.